Shalom, shalom, man. And I'm gonna start off by saying, Call Alalim La Yahweh Yahamashai. Okay. Which is to say all praises to the Most High and the Son. Okay. And, man. Okay, shit's hitting the fan so fast out here, man. Okay. We all know as you have seen in the news, right? Iran is now bombing certain other Middle Eastern countries that are allied with the States, So, because America just bombed or slaughtered, okay, the Iranian leaders, okay, and it was a strategic strike, okay. It's a joint military effort between the states and the so-called Israelis, okay. So, I mean, shit's going down, man. That's key prophecy right there happening right before our eyes, okay. This is let me get the scriptures, man. Let me start off with let me see here. This is Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom and his purposes, that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Okay. And and that's what's happening. Okay. This prophecy literally happening right before our eyes. Okay. So the least of them, let's break it down. Hear the counsel, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom. Now, if you've been watching the Hebrew Israelites for some time, you should know who the biblical Edomites are in today's modern terms, okay? In today's modern world, what they're known as today, okay? Because you're not literally going to find on the on Google Maps where the Edomite people are. That's not how this works, man. All right. But we know them collectively, predominantly, we know them as Caucasian people, okay? They would be the Edomite race, okay? They come from the sperm or the seed line, right, of Esau, okay? So somewhere along the lines, their great-grandfathers, their roots stem back to Esau, Edom, okay? So that's who the Edomites are in today's modern world. Okay, that's what they're known as. They're known as Caucasian folks, okay, or so-called white folks. All right. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom and his purposes, that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Yeah. Okay. Draw them out into World War III. Okay. And it's funny because the Israelis was literally putting the pressure on the states to make an example out of Iran, okay? So the Israelis, the so-called Jewish folks, which they're not the real Jews, and that's the thing, man, with that term, you got to be very sharp, right? Because that term is thrown around a lot, man, okay? You gotta be apt to teach, okay? But you have the so-called Israelis, right, which they're not the real Israelites, okay, but they dwell in the land of Israel, okay, but they are not from the sperm or the seed line of Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They come from Abraham, Isaac, and Esau, okay. They're technically our twin brother, okay, our evil twin brother, and they've stolen our identity, okay. But you gotta understand that. And then the Israelites, the real Israelites, we believe, and we know them to be the so-called Latinos, Native Americans, and so-called blacks here in the States, okay, and throughout the Americas, predominantly so-called Negroes, okay, which Negro means so-called black, okay, that's how we say in Spanish, los llamados negros, okay, so, that is who the real Israelites are, pursuing to the prophecies of Deuteronomy 28th chapter, okay? So you have to be sharp when you use that term Israel. You got to know what you're talking about, because a lot of these people, they don't know who the real Israelites are. That's why Carl Tuckerson is bringing in all sorts of experts and, you know, and all these fucking rejects that he brings in. Vomited tables with you people. Tables filled with vomit, okay? That's why he brings in all of those so-called experts, because he wants that understanding, but his little brain can't seem to fathom or understand who the Israelites are. You know? Because then you have clowns out there teaching that it's a thing where, oh, well, you can just believe your way into Israel. It's like, that's not how it works, okay? It's a thing of seed line, and it is important, okay? And the whole DNA testing bullshit, you know, it's like, man, how many times do we gotta tell these people, okay? The DNA testing, the reason I don't push that is because it's not biblical. You don't read about DNA tests in the Bible, okay? Keep it scriptural, man. All right, keep it scriptural. The scriptures clearly tell you that you're gonna find the name of the Lord in Israel, okay? So you're gonna find zeal, you're gonna find good works, you're gonna find sound doctrine coming from an Israelite, man. Ain't no heathen gonna teach sound doctrine, okay? The heathen can't get it, man. They need guidance. They're those people that were destined to serve us, okay? The positions of priesthood, that belongs to Israel, man, okay? To the Israelites. And no heathen is gonna be able to believe their way into Israel. That's not how this works. You have to be from the seed line, okay? So, I mean, this thing's deep, man. You got to know what you're talking about, man, okay? Absolutely. Okay? But going back to what I was saying, man, the least of them shall draw them out. That's talking about the so-called Israelis, okay? Because Carl Tuckerson went into it lightly. I've watched a little bit of it. I can't give you the the exact details of it. You know, I might make a video on it, okay, later on. But what do you call it? He was going into with some expert, okay, about why Israel is so persistent with Iran, okay, and it pretty much goes into the bankers' wars, okay. All wars are bankers' wars, and pretty much Iran and Russia are not down with the system that the bankers are trying to push out, okay. All right, I'll probably make a video on it, okay, more than likely. I'll have to go through one of because he does bring in some good information here and there, you know. I mean, information like that makes sense. That's logical, you know. Absolutely. We know how these Edomites get down. We know how these bankers do things, you know. And they're framing the people of Iran as these, you know, nuclear dangerous people, right? Like they might possess nuclear weapons, and that's a threat to American liberty and all this propaganda bullshit, you know. So, I mean, I might make a video on that if I have time, okay? But it pretty much boils down to, it's a banker's war. That's all it really is, you know? And it makes sense because these Edomites want to push that microchip so bad, you know? They're trying to out-shark everyone and go up to the next level. See, that's the thing with you white boys, man. You rich white folks. You want it all, and for that reason, you're going to lose it all, okay? World War III is on the horizon, okay? It's very close. I might not be doing this for much longer, okay? You people are running out of time and options, okay? I know I look like a damn fool out here. I know how I look like, I know. But this is what the Lord wants, okay? To come out to the highways and hedges and prophesy destruction to these people, okay? Whether they hear or whether they forbear, okay? Whether they listen or whether they don't. Okay, but that's it on that. That's it on Jeremiah 49. let's get to the point. Ezekiel, you should have, if you've been keeping up with my channel, you should know about Ezekiel 38 already. Ezekiel 38:7. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Okay, this is going into being a guard unto Persia, Ethiopia, Libya. Okay, pretty much all countries that have the same interests as Russia, right? As well, not interests rather, but alliances. Okay, even though some of those countries aren't technically a part of BRICS yet, right? But the point being is that Russia's going to be a guard, and which Iran is in close alliance with Russia. Okay, so just FYI, that's modern day Iran was ancient day Persia. That's referring to that same landmass. Okay, so the people of Iran right now, okay, that are getting bombed the shit out of, and who America has military operations happening in. Okay, the scripture says that Russia's going to be a guard to those people, Gog and Magog. Okay, because Russia is pretty much going to be the destruction of America. Okay, all right, this empire's falling. Okay, and these other nations are witnessing it. They're seeing it. Okay, that's why so many boundaries are being tested. Nobody really fears America anymore the same way they used to. Okay. Yeah, so Russia is going to be a guard unto Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, all these little small countries that are too small to go up against the states by themselves. Okay, they don't have those type of resources to fight against the military might of America. Okay, so Russia is going to step in and be a guard unto Iran. Okay, you haven't seen it in the news yet, but you're hearing it here first. Okay, I'm telling you, Russia is going to back up Iran. Who knows how exactly the Russians are going to get involved in that situation? But it's going to be epic, man. It's going to be all over the news, and when it comes out, man, it's going to be everywhere, right? Everyone's going to be talking about it. You heard it first here, folks. Okay, repent, get into these scriptures. You know, pray into Yahweh Yahushua, man. Okay, because you people are running out of time. Get the fine linen of righteousness upon you. Okay. Right? This is the only type of real asset class that's worth striving for. Everything else is going to be taken away. It's going to be nuked. Okay, and you're going to be separated from all this wealth that you have here in Babylon, man. Okay, so you might as well get into something that can't be stolen or separated from you. Okay, it's better to keep your riches in heaven. Okay, on the cloud. And no, I'm not talking about no damn Bitcoin. Okay. Talking about this righteousness, all right, this truth, these scriptures, okay, the understanding thereof, the principal things, okay. But that's it on that. Okay, I'm gonna get another scripture because World War III is gonna be pretty much fought in Saudi Arabia. Okay, yeah. Okay, just making sure I was recording. Okay. I'm gonna get I think it's Joel. Okay, let me get it right here. That's Joel 2:20. Okay, Joel 2:20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he had done great things. Okay, so all right, so this is referring to the land of Saudi Arabia. Okay, that's where World War III is going to be essentially fought. That's going to be the hot zone. Okay, that's essentially where the Valley of Jehoshaphat is going to be. Okay, which Jehoshaphat simply refers to, or the meaning when you understand it, it simply means Yahweh judges. Okay, so the Almighty is going to judge the nations. Okay, in Saudi Arabia. Okay, that Middle Eastern hemisphere. That's where it's all gonna get hot as hell, man. Okay. So yeah, that's what that's referring to. Okay, that has to be talking about Saudi Arabia. That's essentially where the Valley of Jehoshaphat is going to take place. Okay. This is Joel 3 and 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them where there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Oh yeah, okay. Because these heathen nations, man, they lack discernment. Okay, and a lot of them are faggots. Okay, I didn't know this, but over there in Afghanistan, man, there's homosexuality is a thing among them. They actually have like little boys dancing, you know, and in like a weird sexual manner, you know, very provocative manner. And those damn Arabs, they like that shit, you know. So I mean, these other heathenistic nations, they're weird, man. You know, they're just weird, foul people. Okay, the things that they're into is it's a lot of homosexual shit, okay? And don't even get me started on these white folks, okay? Everyone knows that you white boys are weird, man. You white boys are freaks, okay? And you sold a boy for an harlot, okay? Meaning they sold, well, yeah, now everything that's coming out with this Epstein files, it's not even conspiracy theory anymore. You know, it used to be where you sounded fucking crazy talking about some, you know, Pizzagate pedophile ring that the super elite are into, but now it's all out. Okay, Alex Jones came out, okay, on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and even he had to mention the Hebrew Israelites. It's funny, it goes to show you how relevant the Israelites are, you know. But he was going into how they wanted specifically black babies. You know, like what kind of shit is that, man? Okay, and these are the leaders of this world. Like, you people work for these people. Okay, this place is losing credibility, man, on all levels. Okay. Now it's sounding like the Hebrew Israelites aren't so crazy after all, you know? It's just that this world is so polluted with lies. When you finally tell the truth, when somebody has the balls to speak the truth and bring out the facts, he sounds ridiculous, he sounds absurd, okay? But that's what's manly about this truth, man, is that just stick to this. You sticking to this is you being a fighter, okay? This is the modern way of showing manliness, man. Fighting, okay? It's the modern way of showing warrior prowess. Sticking to this truth and really bringing it out, you know, to the masses, to the general public, okay? All right? You see lots of people, hundreds of people here driving by, okay? Ain't nobody hiding, man. You know, my face is out here to the public, man. Anybody can come up and ask me and scrutinize me, you know? Shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'll speak according to my portion, and you know, and if they rebel and buck up, I'll cut them with the scriptures according to my portion as well. Okay. Joel 3 and 4. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily would I return your recompense upon your own head. Yeah, man, the Most High is not happy with the nations, with you heathenistic countries, okay? Your seed lines are destined for destruction. The Valley of Jehoshaphat is going to take place in Saudi Arabia. We're seeing the beginnings of World War III taking full flight, man. Okay, Saudi Arabia is going to be that hotspot for World War III. That's the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and Yahushua and his angels are going to come up. Okay, when he finally makes his great return, he's going to blast you nations with fire. So-called UFOs, the chariots of Israel, man. And you nations ain't going to be able to stand a chance. Okay, you're hearing it first here, man. Okay, before it happens. All right. The Lord is not happy with you heathen nations, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Okay? Exactly. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold to the Grecians. Exactly. Yeah, these different heathenistic nations have sold so-called blacks and Latinos, Native Americans, to essentially, specifically Judah and the southern kingdom. They sold them, okay, to these so-called white men, okay, these white folks, and that's where you have the transatlantic slave trade, okay? That's what that transatlantic slave trade is all about. Okay, so these heathen nations have completely traded us, okay, like some fucking hot commodity and shit, like some hot pocket, you know, and have given us, you know, to a spoil to our enemies, man. So, I mean, the Lord's not happy with you heathen nations, man. Okay, that's good. That's good that Iran got bombed. It's good that Iran is bombing other Arab nations. Okay, I'm glad that you heathen nations are battling it out, man. Okay, and it's only going to get worse. Okay, may divisions among you be even stronger and more heated and hotter than ever. Okay, fucking heathen. Okay, the Israelites are about to come up out of captivity, man. You know what? Matter of fact, let me get that, man. Because then you got twisted people that seem to think I'm some sort of Arab because I wear my garment, you know? This is Hebrew Israelite attire, numbnuts, okay? This border of blue, this is spoken of in the law. The fringes, okay? I would have my phylacteries, but you know, it's no reason to be over righteous. The scriptures talk about that too. Because technically I'm supposed to have my phylacteries, you know? You know, so I'm sharp with the law too, player, okay? I'm a Hebrew Israelite, all right? Not some fucking Arab, okay? Yeah, and the only reason I'm gonna have a, you know, big bushy beard is because, you know, I don't, my beard doesn't, I'm not hairy, okay? I'm a very smooth-skinned guy. You know, I barely have hair on my okay? I'm not a hairy man, dude, okay? Let me get another scripture, man. This is Isaiah 14 and 29. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and this fruit shall be a fiery, flying serpent. Okay, yeah. So Palestina, all those neighboring Arab nations, okay, those heathenistic nations that are in the land right now, okay, next to so-called Israelis, all right. Just because the Lord's about to slaughter these Edomites, okay, just because the Lord's about to slaughter the American Air Forces and the American Navy and, you know, the American military, don't get all happy, man. The Lord's got judgments for you other heathen nations too. Okay. And you thought the white man was bad, man. Get ready to face the indignation of the Almighty and His Son, okay, and the Hebrew Israelites, okay. You know, and we're gonna rule over your asses righteously, man. Okay, brutally and righteously. Okay. So that's why the scriptures say not to rejoice the whole Palestina. Don't get too happy. Okay. verse 30, Isaiah 14 and 30, and the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy root with famine, and he shall slay thy remnants. Okay? Yeah, and the firstborn essentially Israel, man. Us. Not no fucking Israelis, not no so-called Jewish folks, all right? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. That's what you know them as today. Okay, it ain't talking about the current people on the chosen land right now. Okay? You being in the chosen land doesn't make you an Israelite. Okay? Even if you have an Israeli citizenship, that's not how it works, all right? But you know, you people, you don't understand anything. It's a bunch of dry ass bones out here, man. Dead ass people. No understanding of anything. Okay. So that was it on that. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, verse 30. Okay. Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. Okay. Yeah, I'm talking about America. Okay. America's about to get heavily wasted. Okay. Okay. Verse 31. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. Okay. Yep. We get let me see. We go down to verse 46. Okay, 2nd Esdras 15 and 46. And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of a person, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Yeah, so the Lord's not happy with you other nations, okay? Asia, which is a continent, okay, and there's a lot of countries in Asia, okay? All of those heathenistic nations have pretty much followed in the ways of America, okay? They've trimmed their ways and essentially adopted the American customs, okay? So, I mean, feminism is now starting to take a lot of, foot over there in some of those countries, okay? And it's only going to get worse, okay? A lot of those countries are going to get chipped up. They're going to push that digital ID bullshit on their citizens, okay? And they're going to push that microchip on their people, and they're going to get out-sharked, by these Edomites, by the bankers. But essentially, they're following after the ways of America, okay? And the entire beast system, okay? Verse 48, thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore saith the Most High, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And the glory of thy power shall be dried up as a flower. The heat shall arise that is sent over thee. Okay. I'm going to go down to 57. Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy city shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. Okay? They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood. For very hunger of bread and thirst of water. So that's what's coming to you nations, man. Okay? You heathenistic Arab, you heathenistic Mongoloid, okay, people, the Ammonites, the Moabites, okay, the Ishmaelites, the Elamites, the Hamites, the Japhites, all you heathenistic lineages, okay, you're all going down, okay? You're going into slavery underneath the so-called Mexicans, blacks, and Native Americans, okay? So-called Latinos. And that's gonna really trip out these nations, man. It was like, oh shit, the chosen people are a bunch of blacks and Latins and Tontos, the so-called beaners. That's who the Israelites are. They're gonna see us in our glorified state, man. It's gonna be a conquest, a beautiful thing. But yeah, absolutely, we are the Israelites, okay. The true descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right. And Lord willing, you're looking at a potential member of the elect, a first fruit of the Almighty. Okay. Because our people, for the most part, are not going to get into this. The wicked of our own people are not really going to, get into Israel, right? They're not going to get into this sound doctrine. They're not going to obey the word of the Lord. It's not their destiny either. But the people that get into this first, essentially, they're the first fruits, man. Okay, and if you knew anything about the scriptures, the Lord always wanted the first fruits. The first of anything was consecrated to the Most High. So us getting into this first, if and we endure unto the end, it's essentially a great blessing, right? And it says a lot about who we are. Okay, so it could be that I might be actually of the elect, okay, of the 144,000. Okay. Matter of fact, let me get that, man. This is Revelation 14:4. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High and to the Lamb. Exactly. So let's break this down. Let's explain this, okay? The women that it's referring to in Revelation 14:4, it's referring to other philosophies or weird religions, okay? All right? It's talking about weird religions. Stop following some fucking weird ass religions, people. You want to be taken seriously by the Most High? You want the Almighty to take you serious? Okay. Then stop following after weird, strange teachings. Every time you people start teaching some nonsense, the Most High looks at you like a filthy ass woman. Okay. The Most High looks at you like a whore. The same reason why a man should not take serious a woman that's promiscuous. And this is another thing. You fucking women are, you modern women are very promiscuous. And then you wonder why some of these guys don't take you serious. Okay. He might fuck you. He might plow you, but he's not going to commit to you. Okay. When a man commits to a woman, it's because he's showing his best side of him to you. He gives you his resources. He gives you his protection. He gives you his advice, his clothing, his food. You know, him, essentially what makes him him. But when a guy just pops a woman and just leaves her, essentially he's not taking her serious, you know? Sometimes it's justified, sometimes it's not, you know? But the point being is when you people teach other philosophies, other weird religions and teachings, you got a nigga over here talking about some Hindu shit, you got another nigga over here talking about some Roman Catholicism, another one here, a born-again or Baptist, you know? All these weird religions and strange people with strange teachings. Okay, Mormonism, there's some weird ass shit out there, man. Some bugged out religions, you know? It's time to stay factual, man. It's 2026, man. You know? Keep it factual. So the women right here is in Revelation 14:4. It's not talking about actual women. You can go and get with chicks, okay? That's fine. That's actually natural, okay? You're supposed to go and you know, and interact with, a man is supposed to interact with these women, you know? Because then, you know, our people will listen to that and they'll think, oh, see, the Bible's for homos and shit. But it's like, no, it's not. You niggas don't have the understanding. This is talking about strange religions. It's not talking about actual women. For they are virgins, meaning you're pure, okay? When you don't follow weird religions and you stick to the scriptures, to the true understanding, you're very pure, okay? These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men. The Lamb whithersoever he goeth is referring to the Lord, Yahushua HaMashiach, okay? If you're of the elect, you're going to follow the Lord wherever he goes, okay? You know, and I don't mean you have to be a part, you just have to be a part of a certain group, no. You know? If you don't want to follow me, you can't stand my presence, then fine, then go do your own thing, you know? But watch what you teach, man. If the Lord's not with you, you're going to fucking fumble. You know, you're going to say some wild ass shit, okay? You might, you know, I mean, this is a very hard path that you're taking on, you know? Remember, on one side there's waters, there are deep waters that are super dangerous off a cliff, and the other side is filled with fire, you know, and it's just a narrow path to that beautiful city on the other side. And you can easily fall to the left or to the right, okay? I've seen dudes come and go and for all sorts of reasons, man. Okay, I've seen men's souls being taken away from them. Okay? So, if the Lord's not with you, you have no business really even touching the scriptures, period. Whether you're inside another group or whether you're by yourself. You gotta be sharp as hell to be coming out to these streets, man. You gotta know what you're talking about. Being the first fruits unto the Most High and to the Lamb. Okay? Being the first fruits, there goes that first fruits I'm talking about, man. Because the elect were there since the beginning, man. They were the first ones ever created, and it makes sense they're going to be the first ones to get into this Bible and the true understanding of it. Okay? They're going to get into the good graces of the Most High first before the rest of our nation does, right? It makes sense that I'm getting into this first, because if I'm of the elect, it's because I was always there from the beginning. If I am, right? I don't know if I am. You know? That's the condition of the battle. That's how the Lord wants it. You know? This is all for his entertainment. Oh, absolutely. This thing goes hella deep, man. Deeper than deep. You know? And only the wise among our people, only the wise, right? And not the foolish, the wise are going to get into this correctly, okay? And the foolish virgins, well, you know, you read about their destiny. Revelation 14:5. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of the Most High. Okay? Yeah. And in their mouth was found no guile. Okay? For they are without fault before the throne of the Most High. Exactly. Yep. meaning you're not going to teach no deceptive practices, right? No deceptive teachings. This is John chapter 15, verse 19. Oh, no, I'm sorry. John 15, and I'll start at 26. John 15, 26. But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth which proceeded from the Father, he shall testify of me. And that's not talking about some actual individual that's going to come up, and claim to be the God-said Comforter. That's not correct, okay? That's very incorrect. That's not precise, okay? To be precise, this is simply referring to the true understanding of the Scriptures, okay? Even the Spirit of truth, exactly. Because us understanding these Scriptures is a very comforting thing, okay? Understanding the Bible in these latter times is a very comforting thing, okay? For many, many years and generations, many people have tried or have attempted to understand the Bible, and they failed, okay? Nobody could correctly dissect and break down these Scriptures, okay? It used to be a thing of great mystery, okay? But now the Lord has sent us the Comforter, which is essentially the Spirit of truth. Now we're on the level where we can get into these Scriptures and dissect them correctly. Okay? Verse 27. And ye also shall bear witness, because ye have been with me from the beginning. Okay? Yeah, so the elect have been with the Almighty. With Yahushai, right? With Yahushai specifically, right? Through Yahushai, of course. We were there since the beginning, okay? Since the beginning of creation. Because the elect, what you have to understand, is they were the first fruits, and because they're the first ones created. That's why the Lord said that to his disciples, okay? Okay, so we are, Lord willing, the first fruits of the Almighty. Okay, if we are the elect, it's because the Lord created us first. Essentially, we're like Big Bro. Okay, we're like Big Bro, and the rest of our people, they're like Little Bro. Okay, the older brother is the superior one to the little one. Okay, it's just how it goes. It's always been that way. So this thing is deep, man. Very deep. This thing is deep, man. Man, you gotta know what you're talking about out here, man. Hell yeah. Okay. Let me get more scriptures, man. Okay. This is let me get Amos. Okay. is Amos 3 and 7. Surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants the prophets. Okay? So these secrets of the Bible, they're essentially only really revealed to the prophets of the Lord. Okay? You have to be a prophet, man. You have to be a prophet of the Almighty. Okay? Absolutely. You can't be no ordinary Joe to understand these scriptures. You know, I've thought about it so deeply, you know, and how this truth is essentially, it's the fine linen of righteousness, right? It's all of those things put together, you know, in one, right? And it's inside of us. It's inside of our minds, right? And you start understanding how asset classes work, how different commodities work, the concept of ownership, you know, and you start getting into how essentially this truth is our greatest rich or greatest commodity that we can really own, right? It's a great possession, okay? And people who are ordinary, who don't understand these scriptures, they lack the understanding of the scriptures. They don't understand the Bible. So essentially they're poor. Okay? A prophet is rich in prophecy. An ordinary person is poor because they don't have the understanding of the Bible. Okay? So let me ask you something. What are you rich in? Okay? Some are rich in physical bullion of metals of gold. Some are rich in cattle. Some are rich in real estate. What do you, by rich just simply means abundant. What are you abundant in? Okay. A prophet is rich in the mysteries of the scriptures. A prophet has mansions prepared for him if he's a true prophet of the Lord, okay? You know? So essentially, we're very abundant, man. We're very wealthy. You know what? That reminds me of that other scripture, man. Let me get that in Psalms, because that's crucial, man. You know, you have to understand these things as a prophet of the Lord, man. You know, we're not no brokies, okay? We may not be abundant in fiat currency. We may not be abundant in physical gold or silver, okay? We may not be abundant in land or cattle or even resources or military might, right? But, well, it's funny because, oh, you know what? I'm gonna get all these scriptures. You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna let the scriptures talk. Okay, let me get this one in Psalms, and I got another one too. Because I was about to say something, but I want to let the scriptures come out first. This is Psalms 23 and 5. Thou preparest the table before me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. My cup runneth over. Okay. We're abundant, man. I'm telling you. We are abundant in prophecy. All these bums and all these losers and rejects out here, man. There's too many fucking rejects. You know? All I see is dead people out here, man. You know, I'm like that kid from the movie The Sixth Sense, you know? I see dead people, you know? That's me right there. You know, these fucking dead people, man. You know? But we are abundant in prophecy. Okay? Our cup runneth over, simply meaning we understand this Bible like no other, okay? These people don't understand the basics, you know? But, that was it on that. Okay, I'm gonna get another scripture and, let's see if I can find it with the word search, because I don't remember how it goes, but, because I was gonna say we're not rich in, you know, military strength like America, because America is essentially, they're abundant, but in military might. Okay, that's why you have something called the petrodollar agreement. Essentially, America aids Middle Eastern countries with armament and with weapons of mass destruction nukes, tanks, helicopters, you know, firearms. America's a major manufacturer of the arms industry, okay? So that's how you're able to have something called the petrodollar agreement. Look it up, okay? You people need to start studying too, man, okay? I'm just one guy. I can only cover so much, okay? But the petrodollar agreement is essentially America manufacturing arms for the OPEC nations, okay? Right. And that's why you have a thing called the petrodollar. But now the petrodollar is under that whole experiment is being how would I say it, broken down essentially, because last I heard, I don't know how true this is, but some of the OPEC nations are now accepting other currencies, other fiat currencies. So this puts stress on the dollar, because now the other nations don't have to stack dollars. They don't have to be at the mercy of the American dollars, okay? They can now trade oil, which is what every country needs for their modern economies. You can't have a modern economy without crude oil, okay? Which the OPEC nations are rich, their abundance in oil, you know, physically their abundance, right? Not the oil of the scriptures, but oil like as in crude oil. The OPEC nations are abundant in crude oil, which is what every other country needs. The only one that comes close to it, if not more, is Venezuela. But there's a lot of mines that have to be set up first over Venezuela, and that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of resources. Okay, you know, that's not something that happens overnight. You know. So, going back to what I was saying, man. America's very abundant in military might. That's, like I said, that's why you have something called the petrodollar. That's only possible because America is so rich or abundant in military strength. You have to understand how assets work, my man. Asset classes come in all shapes and sizes, okay? But this asset class of the scriptures, the oil of the Almighty, you know, that Psalms talks about, that we just read, this is the ultimate one right here. Because some asset classes are timeless, meaning they've been around forever. They've been in demand. There's always a need for them since like ancient times, i.e. gold and silver, i.e. oil, you know, i.e. land, okay? But other asset classes like Pokemon cards or certain high-end watches, it's only had so much time that it's been traded for, okay? It's not timeless like certain other asset classes, okay? So you have to understand as a prophet what you're getting involved in. This asset class, the fine linen of righteousness, is the ultimate asset class because it's timeless. It's been around since the beginning, okay? This truth, okay? Oh, you know what? That reminds me of another scripture. So I'm gonna get two more scriptures, and I'm probably gonna close it out with those, okay? John 1:14. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. The glory is of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. Okay? John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the Most High, and the Word was the Most High. Okay? So, I mean, we've had this truth has been around since extremely timeless, man, since the beginning, okay? Very timeless. And that's what makes this asset class so superior to every other one, okay? But no, nobody wants it, you know, so that's on them. You gotta have a lot of ungrateful ass people out here, you know? Let me get another scripture, man. This is Matthew 26 and 52. Then said Yahweh Shai unto him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? You see? So the Lord actually had access to an army, okay? That's how you know the Lord is rich, man. He was abundant in military might as well, but it wasn't his time, and he knew that it wasn't the will of the Father to go and send angels and start, tearing up the Roman Empire apart. It's like, no, that's not how the Most High wants it, man. Okay? He knew that he had to be crucified. He knew that, that the Roman Empire had to fall by way of division and other means, okay? He knew that America had to come into power. He knew that NATO and this beast system was prophecy. Essentially, he knew prophecy had to be fulfilled, man. Okay, that the deadly wound was healed, right? And the Lord knew he was gonna have to come back, and that's when he was gonna wreak havoc on the nations. There was still a lot of prophecy that had to take place, but the point being is, right? The point being is that understanding asset classes is important. What are you abundant in? Okay? Ask yourself that. Okay? You have to understand what you're abundant in. Are you abundant in these asset classes that perish, or are you abundant in the protection of the Almighty via angels, or the oil that the scriptures talk about, or the principal things, right? So I mean, we're pretty rich, man. It's assuming you're of the elect, man, and you're taking this serious, you're honestly very well off. Because you have iron, you have the milk of the scriptures, you have the wine, you have the salt. I mean, damn, bro, you're not damn, but you're doing really well for yourself, okay? So, with that, man, I'm gonna say, call Allah, Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. All right. Lord willing, members of the elect were edified, okay? So next time I'm gonna say, Shalom.